Hello and welcome back to another episode of Star Wars Alliance. Of course, I'm your host, Clay, and with me, like always, in, of course, the same setting as last week, um, Katie. Katie, you were not at home because you were having a chaotic month full of birthdays and all sorts of stuff. So, and I think she just, hold on.
We're having technical difficulties, so I may be muting as much as possible because apparently the headphones don't want to do anything.
I mean, I was gonna say your quality of sound is not gonna be as good as last week, but now it actually sounds good. So I think it works. But the well, actually, go ahead. I want to test something real quick. And again, the magic of podcasting.
Magic.
Yeah, it actually doesn't sound too bad. And I found out the reason prior to this because I was hearing an echo was my own doing. So I fixed that on my part. There is no echo here, unless I just start listening to this podcast as I'm editing, and it's just completely chaotic. But I think it sounds good. So we are good to move forward again, guys. The next 2 weeks. Well, actually, it'll be this week. Well, yeah, 2 weeks because it's a total of 12, right? There's 4 weeks.
Yes, 4 weeks.
Okay. So this week plus 2 more weeks, it's going to be nothing but Andor. No small news bits, no book reviews, which, by the way, we will have a book review soon. Um, a Valiant Vow actually is releasing this week, I believe.
Yes, Valiant Val releases on Tuesday, guys, and the plan for that is we will not have a review on the 8th for you guys, but we will have it the following week. So it'll be a short little review. That's all we're going to really be talking about. Obviously, Wayseeker also comes out on Tuesday, guys, but we've already done a review for that, so you can go check that out. But yeah, like Valiant Vow is the only thing we're doing, and actually, technically, we have to discuss when we're going to have Tales of the Underground. Uh,
Yeah, because that is
because Tales of the
literally
Underground comes
tomorrow.
out tomorrow. And the
Yeah.
hope is that that will be the episode that you guys have on Thursday is our Tales of the Underground review.
Yeah.
Underworld. Is it Underground
Underworld.
or Underworld? Oh my gosh,
Uh,
this week is
Ta-
chaos, guys. I'm
Tales of
sorry.
the Underworld.
Tales of the
Um,
Underworld.
a little bit of inside baseball. Currently, we are recording this, of course, if you are live with us on a Saturday night. This will be dropping on podcast feeds on Sunday. We can't talk about it on Sunday because, one, I will be watching it on Sunday and also driving about an hour and a half to 2 hours away to go get some supplies for Amberlynn's first bed, as well as um watching the show. Like there's so many things that are going to be happening on Sunday, so we won't be able to record Sunday, but I think we should be able to plan, probably not live, a uh a recording sometime between Monday and Wednesday for you guys to have Tales of the Underworld to listen to on Thursday.
Yes. It's busy May, guys.
It is. So,
So
episodes 4, 5, and 6
yes,
of
and
Andor.
for the record, guys, for the record, I have a lot going on in my life right now. Um, I did not get to give these episodes a really clean watch. Like Matt did not even get to watch episodes 5 and 6 this week. That's how chaotic things were. So I'm gonna do my best, but I'm gonna count on Clay to lead most of the plot discussion.
Mhm.
Um, and I'll be back next week in my own setup.
Okay, so let's go ahead and jump in to episode 4. Episode 4 is Ever Been to Gorman. There was a lot of speculation on uh which episodes were these 4 or these
Yeah,
3 because of the director that returned. Um,
correct. And Mon Mothma's speech, we know where that takes place in the timeline. That takes place in 2BBY.
yeah.
So it could have been that the 3 episodes for 2BBY take place on Gorman with the Gorman massacre and everything, and then kind of proceed from there. But we also know 5 episodes on Gorman. So it kind of makes sense that it's coming now, and then we get one more next arc, and then Mon
Mhm.
Mothma's speech to the Senate and escape and everything.
Yeah. So in this episode, we learn a lot of the moving pieces for this arc in general. Um, last week we talked about the fact that Dedra and Cyril have somewhat of a actual serious relationship that is going on. Um, Guys, serious relationships are not without their secrets, as we see in these 3 episodes. And that's a little bit of a doozy. And I do, there's a lot of different, and I say we're starting with episode 4, but we know that we're talking about character arcs for majority of these reviews, because going episode by episode is going to be very difficult. It's going to be very long-winded and everything else. But I want to start with Cyril and Dedra, the Empire, if you will. Um, and then I want to go to Cass and Bix, because the jaw-dropping fucking moment at the last episode this week, my brain literally almost spewed out of my fucking ears with how much it exploded at the slight shift in frame for that reveal. My jaw, I literally opened my mouth and was like, oh my god.
Right,
um
because we had seen the like high five and explosion for Cass and Pict, and yes, guys, I'm jumping ahead, but we had seen that in the trailer, and so everyone was like, "What is this for?" And now we know what it was for.
and I do want to call myself out for talking shit to Bix the entire time, and then when that happened, I was like, oh my god. So we will talk about it. But first, Cyril. Cyril, of course, has been a very big player in Andor season 1, and even more so in season 2. He is the quote unquote Imperial spy. So says the Gorman. Uh, uh, and it's so funny.
The
I wrote
Gorman
this,
front.
the Gorman front, but it's so funny because I wrote this down in my notes, and I said, this is what they want you to believe, but Cyril meets with the Gorman extremists.
Yep.
Is that's We all know that's where it's gonna spin with the Empire. So I was like, you know what? Let's write it down.
And I could not believe that Dedra put him into her plot. But also I can believe it because that's who she is
Yeah.
she's going to
So,
use everyone to her advantage.
and that was kind of surprising to me. So you don't know that Cyril doesn't know the true purpose of this entire thing until episode 6. You watch all of 4, all of 5, and then finally in episode 6, it is not until Admiral, right? Admiral?
I don't think he's an admiral. I think it's Colonel Pattergaz.
Okay, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because Yularen is the head of the ISB and he's only a colonel, so he might even be like a lieutenant colonel.
Yeah.
Because he reports to Yularen. So, Pattergaz is like helping Dedra run the Gorman operation that Krennic proposed in the first arc.
Mhm.
So Dedra is kind of running with that and has basically inserted Cyril to where he can connect with the Gorman front and manipulate them to get the result that they're looking for. Remember, Dedra said in Arc 1, well, you don't need propaganda. You need an extremist group that's going to do the wrong thing at the right time.
Yeah.
And that's basically where this is leading to. This is the Gorman Front, the extremist, quote unquote, rebel group. Um, and they're doing the wrong thing at the right time,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
I did want to ask your opinion on this because this kind of goes across all of the arcs. Um, what did you think about the Gormans basically having like a French accent, like the
So
Twi'leks?
I was wanting to bring this up also because I I'm gonna just say it right here, right now. I am not a very intellectual individual when it comes to languages. Somebody could speak some other language, and I would very inappropriately and uneducationally probably stereotype the hell out of the sound of that language and butcher it 100%. I am not that intelligible when it comes to languages. I need to be. But when they were actually talking, my brain went, is that French? And so I did look it up. It's not French per se, but it is based off of like French phonics. So like
Yeah.
so it's kind of an amalgam of like a made up language, of course, being Gorman, and then French. I think that this is perfectly fine because we are not dealing with Earth or French individuals.
Right. But you're also looking at like, okay, there's technically already a French accent out there. Hera has represented that with the Twi'leks. So is it like, could you not have picked maybe a different accent to go with?
Okay. So I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Yes, I would need to hear Twi'lek again to really see the difference in how that dialect shows up, and like if it is different enough to be like, hey, yeah, okay, like we as humans on planet Earth who know French people, like we know the difference.
Yeah.
But if you are looking in this scope of this far off place in a galaxy far, far, far away, is it possible for the home world of these people and the home world of these people to have such a close dialect? You
Yeah,
know?
and that's because that's like the biggest thing, right? Is like, are if they're in the same sector, then maybe you could potentially explain it away.
Yeah.
But I just feel like with the heritage that Gorman has and the heritage that Ryloth has, I feel based on what they have given us so far for Gorman, is that it is a deeply rich culture with the spiders and everything. And I just feel like we kind of merged it because we didn't want Twi'leks involved. Because, and this is another thing for the whole arc, is again, there's not enough aliens in
Yeah.
this arc. So is it like it most likely boiled down to a budgeting problem. Um, but it's like, okay, but you already have this, and I know each show doesn't like reusing other people's elements,
Hmm.
but I feel like this should have been something that was easy to do.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. Um, with this, and I do like the use of the spider
Yeah.
and the allegory of like, you know, a trap weaving a web and falling into its trap. And I like that idea for what we are literally seeing happening with the Gormans. Cyril gets entangled into the Gormans' plan to take over what we now see is, of course, the Empire kind of stepping on them. The Empire has taken over, but hasn't yet. Of course, they are spinning their propaganda of like, oh, this is of course just to protect you. Like we are not here to intrude. We're not here to do da da da. But they're building an armory in the center of town or the city. We heard this story about Tarkin 15 years ago, basically slaughtering like,
which did answer my question about the Tarkin massacre, because I believe originally the Gorman massacre was the Tarkin massacre, and so now they're kind of differentiating it as two things. So you have the Tarkin massacre on Gorman, and now you're going to have an additional Gorman massacre. And I say originally, y'all, I'm talking about Legends.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that's clear, because sometimes people are like, what do you mean originally? Like,
yeah.
So I did like getting that question answered.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel? Because here's the ultimate question. Because we do have this small scene. I think it's very small but significant, with the idea of course, Cyril being the man for the Empire. He has always been the man who is working for the government. Like that's just who he is, right? But you have this conversation with him and his mother. Episode 4.
So confused with this conversation.
And she, of course, is not okay with this whole transfer of him going to Gorman. He had a perfect life. He had a nice woman on his side, like giving all these compliments. And again, like there's this conversation of propaganda and how Gorman is not safe and like all of these other things, right? But I think it's significant because there might be a sliver of an opportunity for Cyril to not be okay with what takes place.
Well, and I think we do kind of see that with the end of episode 6, with the death of one of our key characters from season 1. I think Cyril's kind of staring that, and he's reporting what's going on with this heist, because he's given the Gorman front all of like the transport plans and like which transports are carrying weapons and which ones aren't. So now the Gorman front has planned a heist and brought in one of our key characters, or two of our key characters, I guess I could go ahead and say that. But he is watching the heist go down to kind of confirm what's going on, and he sees what happens, and it like kind of shocks him to his core.
Yep. Yeah. And so I think, along with the idea that he will eventually find out that Dedra was not 100% truthful with him.
Yeah.
And so I do believe there is a little bit of leeway for him to maybe not. I'm not going to go as far as to say he's going to turn.
Yeah, I don't think he's turning. But he may walk away from his job in the Empire.
But he may walk away, which is, there is a set precedent in the Star Wars universe for this to happen with Imperial employees.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think that it is very much possible with this. Staying with the Dedra Cyril Empire conversation, I can never remember his goddamn name.
Pattergans?
No, there is an actor. His character, I always laugh because he looks like Taylor from Geekverse. The tall, lanky, redhead dude that talks to Luthen. Is it Supervisor Lonnie? I think
Yes,
yes.
I believe so.
Lonnie Jung, Supervisor Lonnie. He's the one with the little thin
Yep.
mustache.
Held
Kind of
on
a
to the blind book.
yes, yeah. Uh I always recognize him because he's very tall, but he also has a huge receding hairline. No
Yeah.
offense. But his conversation with Luthen, telling Luthen, of course, he's been the informant for Luthen for quite some time now, ever
Yep.
since season 1. And there's a moment in episode 4 where they meet again on that elevator, and he's telling him about Gorman, and Luthen's like, "What's this whole obsession with Gorman? What's going on? Like, why?" And he tells him, like, "Hey, all I know is that Dedra's now in charge. You know, they made it as a front to like make it look like a bad thing, but we're not entirely sure that's the case anymore. So I don't know what else to tell you." And he's like, "Well, I need the end game. I need the end game on this." He's like, "I don't know." But I really like the line where he says, like, because Luthen is like so like eager to get information. He tells Luthen, "You used to tell me to wait. Like, you used to like tell me to have patience and all this other stuff." And Luthen tells him, "It's like, well, those days are past us."
Yeah, Luthen's getting a little impatient, and you can kind of see it with his arc with Clea, which runs into Mon and Perrin's.
I have words about Luthen.
um,
I have words. And
I for the Empire area of this story, I feel like it was really well done. Dedra Patergaz not really in these episodes a whole lot. I feel like, oh gosh, what's the actor's name? The one who plays Cyril.
Cyril,
Yeah.
his name is, I have it right here. Kyle Solar.
Kyle Solar has done an incredible job, and I know we're not getting a story that follows like a linear timeline here. I mean, it is linear, but like it's not a continuous linear timeline. Uh and I feel like Solar is still doing a very good job showcasing those differences between his character over the year and
Yeah.
everything. And he came off very convincing in the beginning. I was very confused with his phone call with his mom, uh, because I was like, wait, Cyril doesn't talk like this? What? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it was very convincing that he had flipped the switch to becoming annoyed with the Empire.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I really like that as well. Trying to think if there's anything else. Well, just because, well, you know what? We'll talk about that scene specifically later. The whole thing at the party in Krennic and all of
yeah.
that, because that's really, really nice. Let's jump to Bix and Cassian.
Oh, and y'all, I just want to apologize once again for my audio. My audio's, I'm having issues with headphones and stuff, and I keep forgetting to mute when Clay is talking. But I'm also super congested, and my drugs are wearing off, so it's just a hot mess. Again, I'm very sorry. Thank you for being here.
But let's talk about Bix and Cassian. Specifically, this entire arc, episode 4 through 6, specifically for Bix and Cassian, is strangely enough about morality. It is this idea that, like, we don't know if Bix, prior to the killing that happened that those two people that she killed in episode 3, like we don't know prior to that how many people she has killed. But with these like hallucinations, PTSD driven episodes that she has been having, we know that she had one in episode 4 that was with this soldier, and we later find out that Cassian had killed this soldier because he gave the excuse he was an Imperial soldier. He is dead and we are alive. We are alive because he is dead, and that is final. That's
And
kind of the way
Cassian,
he looks at it.
yeah, and Cassian also reasons it with like, okay, this is what he signed up for. I signed up for this too, so if I end up in a torture chair, I'm gonna be accepting of it. Like, obviously, I don't want to die, but
Yeah.
I know, hey, that's what I signed up for, kind of thing. But Bix brings up, hey, you only killed him because he saw my face.
And he asks, what's the difference? I sat there, I paused the damn show, and I really thought about it. What's the difference? When you look at these two conversations, well, if you look at this conversation with these two ways of thinking, okay, he is an Imperial. We know that we are rebels. He would have known if the situation would have escalated. Again, we don't know the situation. This happened off screen. So we are just getting small pockets of context here. Okay, he sees them. He probably would have called in for backup, caused a huge mess, blah, blah, and probably would have made their escape a lot harder if not impossible. So there is that. And so, of course, Cassian's only thought is, hey, he needs to die so we can survive. And then the conversation of seeing her face. It's the exact same thing. If they know their faces, which some of them do, if they are actually identified as Cassian Andor and Bix, they are then on the run even further than what they have been.
Yeah, because the Empire has Cassian's face from Cyril's days as a cop. Like, he pulled that then, and they know Cassian was involved. So it's like, okay, Cassian is hiding on Coruscant, and Bix is like, oh yeah, well, let's just go to the park. And Cassian's like, they installed cameras there. We can't go there. Like, but this is Coruscant. Like, they're hiding on Coruscant.
That was the thing that I was questioning. Is like, one of my notes is that they are legitimately trying to actually live life as much as they can. They're having strolls, like, because like you said, Bix is asking, hey, can we go on a walk tomorrow? Like, living a life as a rebel is probably not the greatest, especially with the way that Cassian and Bix are living, super paranoid. They can't just live freely. So yeah, I can see why this can be so chaotic. One thing that we forgot to mention on the Imperial side, Dedra is still wanting to keep notes on Cassian. Like, there was one instance where Cassian was kind of mentioned because of this arrest that was made, full of like all of these different weapons, and she's like, "Oh, this is part of the rebellion. Like, Cassian needs to be found," and like was trying to get somebody. I can't remember his name.
It was another supervisor who had taken over the Axis project.
And she was like, "Oh, you can have all the glory, bud. You can have all the glory on this, but you need to pull me in." And he's like, "It's not about the glory. Like, it's not about the fame. It's about just doing the job."
Yeah.
And she got pissed. She was pissed at that.
And the other thing, like, Dedra doesn't make a whole lot of appearances in this arc, like I said, but I also feel like Cassian doesn't either,
Mhm.
despite how present he is in episode 2. And this is something that's always been a pet peeve for me. If you're going to name a project after a character, that character needs to be the forefront. And
Yeah.
it's something that Andor has struggled with the entire way because it's got a vast cast. And I'm not saying there's a problem with that. But what I am saying is maybe we could have named this something different in
Yeah.
order to accomplish the same goal.
Yeah. So with Bix and Cassian, they have this whole debate about morality and whatnot. And we know that Bix is currently having a little bit of a substance abuse problem. But it's the only way she can relax, it seems. It's the only way she is able to fall asleep. And Cassian and Luthen both know about this issue. So it seems.
And Luthen doesn't want her addicted because then that means she's not useful.
Yeah.
And Cassian obviously wants her better for his own mental health and everything. And Luthen pays Bix a visit while Cassian is on, um,
His mission at Gorman.
yeah, his mission at Gorman. And Cassian comes back and finds out and is like, dude, this ain't cool. Like, you want me?
Goes to Luthen's shop.
Yes!
And this is part of Luthen's story too that I want to slap the motherfucker. My thoughts on Luthen from season 1 to season 2 have totally flipped. This motherfucker gaslighting everyone with all of these thoughts of like, oh, like I thought you were in for this, and I thought you did. It's like you pulled them in. You did this.
You pulled them in. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with also taking some time and pretending like there's nothing wrong. Like, I don't think Bix, who is like, yeah, let's like go get some pretty dishes, like towels, like flowers. I don't think there's anything wrong with that to just pretend you have some area of normalcy in your life.
You need some humanity to keep yourself sane.
Yeah.
Right? And with this, though, one of the next scenes that we see with Bix, she goes into this building. And first, no. We don't even see her go into the building.
No, we don't.
We just see
Dr. Gorst.
We see Dr. Gorst. And we have been seeing him quite some time this season. And we also saw him last season. He is the one that tortured Bix.
Oh, because that's another thing we forgot. So Patergaz tells Lonnie and the other supervisor that's in charge of the Access Project, oh, the Navy really likes how Dr. Gorse's, he calls them interviews, but like the torture sessions are going. We'd like to expand this program. We're going to give you a whole warehouse and set up training regimens, and you're going to be in charge of this. Mm-hmm. That's important because of this last scene. And we can go back and talk about Cassian Gorman.
Yes.
But like, I need to talk about this last scene.
So we see Dr. Gorse. He goes into this room, of course, where the seat is. And the lights turn on and you see Bix in the corner. You're like, oh shit. And my mind went to, girl, what are you doing? You are going to get in so much trouble. This is going to be much harder on Cassian than you think. Like, you're going to make it so much harder for them to move forward with the rebellion. You're going to get caught. Like, all these different things are going to happen. I was so tearing her down. And I want to apologize. Okay.
I thought it was another nightmare.
Oh no, I felt that it was too real.
I had completely lost context of where we were at because, again, I didn't get to pay super close attention to these episodes, but I went back and watched Cassian with Luthen, and Cassian's like, you want me in this? You will help me fix this. Yeah. And in that instance, I thought he was talking about something else. He's talking about Bix.
Yeah.
Like, please help me put her back together, is basically what he's saying. And
so I thought it felt too real to be a dream. So I was like, oh no, girl, like this is bad. This is bad. And she just leaves him in the chair, walks away, so you know he's going to be tortured for hours before they can even find him. He's probably going to be dead, a freaking vegetable, before anybody can even find him. She goes down this hall. Of course, a security guard is like, hey, you can't be here. Boom. She blasts him. And I'm just thinking, oh God, this is even worse. What are you doing? And the camera shifts to only see her walking away. And then the camera spans back again, and you see Cassian right next to her. And my jaw hit the fucking floor. Because never did I think, holy shit, he's actually somewhat walking away, but not really. He is telling everybody with this statement, she is more important than anything else. Yep. She is my rock. If she is not good, then I am not good. If you want me to be a good soldier, she needs to be better. And this is how she's going to get better. So I'm going to help her.
Yep.
But like I said, my brain was basically spewing out my ears. I was like, what? It was so good.
The cinematography in that shot with the visual effects was killer.
Yeah.
Like, it looks like something you would see in an action adventure movie that's like had people working on it for years, kind of thing. Like, it looks really good.
Yeah, it was so good.
And I was super proud of Bix because she didn't overdo it. She didn't get caught. She went in. She knew her mission. Like, hey, this guy's going to die screaming with this sound in his ears, but I'm also going to blow up the building for dramatic effect. Like,
yeah.
Kill it. Kill it, girl.
Yeah.
Queen think of my heart.
It is so good. I'm watching the scene now. Like, you could you even see her kind of like have her eyes like move to Cassian. And you're like, what? And then he jumps into frame. Oh, so good. So good. But moving to we'll be able to talk about Cassian at Gorman, because we're gonna move to Cinta. And
yes, we're gonna talk about Cassian in episode 2 on Gorman, and then we're gonna kind of jump into Cinta and Vel, because both of those kind of intertwined.
Whew, okay, so
Cassian Luthen sends Cassian on a mission and is like, hey, Gorman, I hear it's good. Like, because he's heard from Lonnie, like, hey, there's something going on at Gorman. And Cassian is basically his best rep at this time that he trusts. And so he goes, you're going to go to Gorman. You're going to tell me if it's worth getting into. And this is where we get to see Cassian all dressed up. We thought potentially in the trailer shots, oh, he's going to Lita's wedding. Like, he's going to be at Lita's wedding. No, he's a fashion designer.
And I've seen a lot of people kind of make fun of this. I think it was a good front. As from what we've heard, especially from Luthen, Gorman is a planet of wealth. So, like, I think it makes sense to have somebody high class like a designer, a clothing designer, visit, see, what they can do in the city. So I thought that was very clever, very fun.
Because you can't go in as like a poor person in that. If you go in as a factory worker, you're not going to be able to move around like somebody high classes. That's just unfortunately the way of the world right now. And it's the way of the world in Star Wars as well. So I think it was a very good plot, the cover story for him.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked how he was going to like the flight deck and had his cover story playing in his ear for probably like Clea or somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So he gets to Gorman and he gets to be in these fancy hotels and everything. And then he goes to a coffee shop and like starts getting down the lay of the land. Well, the daughter of the leader of the Gorman Front basically jumps ahead of him and is like, hey, we gotta talk right now. And Cassian's like, no, we don't. You're gonna get caught.
I love this scene. This scene where Cassian just completely shows how inexperienced these Gorman rebels are. Because he says, "You don't know me. I might be the friend you've been talking to. I might be Imperial. I might be ISB. You just killed everyone you loved. Hey, but guess what? You got lucky this time because I am the person you're looking for." I was like, like
It
the
felt like
delivery of that whole segment was so good.
Cassian has learned so much from season 1 about who he is and how to be a spy effectively. Um, just like the suaveness and how in control he feels. You can, like, Diego Luna kills it in this, like just bringing him to life and showcasing this transformation that he's had over the years.
Yeah, yeah. I love this. So the next day he meets with of course her father and everybody else that's a part of this movement, and they give Cassian the rundown on what's been happening. And of course Cassian, the way that he is like, "Hey, is it even safe to do this right now?" And they're like, "We looked for bugs. It's totally fine." He's like, "Wouldn't that look very like you aren't you showing your hand here? You're looking for bugs?" He's like, "No, like everybody does it, actually. It's kind of a little sport we do." Because it's become this thing in Gorman now that's like, "Hey, we know the Empire is here for us."
Well, and
So
they're also able to play it off because, I mean, and this is a real thing. Like, designers take from other people. That's why there's copyrights. That's why there's trademarks
yeah,
nowadays, is to prevent people from stealing other things. So, like, the leader guy is basically like, yeah, I mean, people will steal my recipe. Like,
yeah,
so yes, I'm picking bugs for the Empire, but here's my legitimate reason.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. And the overall assessment that Cassian feels out of Gorman is they're inexperienced, they're rushing things, they're going to get themselves killed. I want nothing to do with this. And that's what he tells Luthen. And
and Luthen
Luthen,
says, fuck you.
yeah, see, and here is another fuck Luthen story for you. Because Cassian says, like, "No, I don't want any part of this." And Luthen says, like, "Oh, this is a rich like land, like, it could be the forefront of the rebellion," because he wants that spark. Luthen wants something to happen to where the rest of the galaxy will say, "Hey, this isn't right. Let's move forward with this rebellion towards the Empire." That's what
And it,
Luthen wants.
yes, because Gorman is also a very prosperous planet.
Hmm.
And so it would be the first prosperous planet to kind of make that connection to the rebellion. Obviously, you have Chandrila, you have Alderaan, both Bale and Mon at this point, because we're going to talk about Bale,
Hmm.
have not made like a legitimate commitment, like a vocal commitment to the rebellion. They're doing
Correct.
everything in secret.
Hmm.
So if Gorman makes a play for the rebellion, that makes it more potent for other rich and prosperous planets to come join it.
Yeah. And Cassian says, "And what if they fail?" And Luthen says, "Then it's a spark that's going to burn brighter than ever." And I just said, "Fuck you, man. This dude does not care
He doesn't.
about anyone. Anyone." And this will be even more transparent when we talk about him and Clea, because I have some fucking words. So he calls Clea and he says, of course, they're always talking in code. He's like, "Oh, I heard you have another item heading this way." And she said, "I just delivered it." And this moves our story from Cassian being at Gorman to Vel being at Gorman. Vel
And
meets,
Cinta.
Well, that's the thing. Vel comes first, and then the next day we see Cinta show up. And we learn that Vel didn't want to do this unless Cinta was there. Katie, I knew what was going to happen.
I did.
The moment Cinta said, "Oh, I had an accident. I'll tell you sometime." And Vel said, "You can tell me now." And she said, "No, I'll tell you some other time." When that went down, I was like, "Oh, girl, no, you better tell her now."
You're right.
Because there's not going to be a next time.
Hearing that now, yes, I should have put it together because, yeah. That's classic trope right there.
Very classic
Somebody's
trope.
gonna die.
Yeah. I did like the butting of heads with this. Yep. Vel taking control of the mission of the rebellion of Gorman, and these other individuals saying like, this person just fucking walked in the door and now she's taking control. Fuck this. Like, we've been working hard at doing this for months, if not years, and they're just going to take it over, blah, blah.
Yep.
And Vel and Cinta both said like, hey, you've never fucking done this before. So sit back, buckle your seatbelt, and shut the fuck up. Is basically
because
what
you
they
don't. Said. I'm walking away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Spoiler alert, they did not walk away.
They didn't. They went through the whole scenario. They went out to observe the street that everything was going to go down at and made sure everything was going to happen exactly how they said it. They planned it out and they said, okay, we're doing this tomorrow night. See y'all. Peace out. Then, of course, things got a little hot and heavy between Cinta and Vel. And even then, when that happened, I was like, oh, yeah, just this is the last dance, if you will. And when everything went down, it was going down without a hitch. Everything was going according to plan. There's two moments that happened that you could see where the dominoes start to fall. So in the actual meeting of how this was all going to go down, Vel tells the getaway driver, hey, do not leave your post. If you leave, that will cost all of us our lives. We're all dead. Don't move. There's a moment when there's some random civilian and she takes her and walks away.
I was so mad.
We don't see her again. But then there is a younger kid.
This is the candy salesman that has been interacting with Cyril.
Yes. He had gotten mad at Vel because, again, he was one of the individuals that was like, hey, why are you in charge? Like, all of this other stuff. And one of the biggest things, the biggest demands of Vel and Cinta were nobody gets a blaster. The only people that will be carrying blasters is Cinta and myself. And that was what Vel was saying. We then, during the operation, see a familiar face from episode 4. Episode 4, there was a secret meeting town hall of all of the Gormans, basically having it out of like, hey, this is the shit that's going down with the Empire right now in our own planet. Like, this is what's going on. And this dude was having his way and flicking them off. I guess like the way that they flick them off is like they put their hand in front of them and they slap their wrist or their forearm, is how I guess it's like an inappropriate gesture.
It reminded me of Ross and Friends doing like that.
Yeah, exactly. This gentleman shows up and he's actually getting pissed off. He's like, what the hell are y'all doing? Blah, blah, blah. Like, he's purposely, he calls out the young kid. He knows him specifically and he calls him out. He's like, hey, what's going on? Blah, blah, blah. And this kid pulls out a fucking blaster. He's like, step back. I don't want to do this. We're everything's working out fine, blah, blah. And the dude's like, oh, you pulled the blaster? You want to kill me? If you're going to kill me, you better fucking do it now, or this is going to get a lot worse for you. There is a struggle. The blaster goes off. And you don't see who it hits. At least not immediately. And then when people start to gather, when people are trying to figure out what the hell's going on, that's when Vel looks down and sees who got shot.
I was so mad about this because I feel like it needed to be Senta who survived to kind of realize what she had and then like go like, okay, I need to stand up to Luthen more. I don't think this is going to teach Vel to stand up to Luthen.
I know people don't want to hear it, but the only reason why she died is because she's brown. Out of all those people, she's the only brown person that died. We have seen the underlining tone, the underlining story of this series. The people of color are always the ones that have the worst times during war. Right now, that is Bix, Cassian, and now Senta being dead.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Because the main reason why I was like, okay, it's Senta is because the actress is the new Doctor Who like companion right now.
Yes, 100%.
So it totally makes sense.
I thought I recognized her, by the way. I didn't connect the two until you just said it. I was like, yep, that's totally true, actually.
Yeah, it totally makes sense when you think about it. Not like it totally makes sense. Like there's a good reason for it in this case because you probably didn't have the shooting schedule to get a bunch of Andor stuff filmed.
Correct.
At least that's my hope, and that Gilroy then changed the script to be like, okay, we're writing Senta out.
Yeah.
Because it just sucks. Because I really like her in Star Wars. I think she's a really good character.
I think that they have a great dynamic. And again, I know that I get my there is, if people don't know, if you're just now listening to us for the fact that you're wanting to listen to Andor reviews, it is a ongoing thing for me personally in our reviews of any book, TV show, or whatever. I need characters to have somewhat of a happy ending. That's what I personally want. Senta and Vel were characters that I was hoping, out of all of the chaos and all of the bullshit, that they would still have somewhat of a happy ending. That is not the case.
Not the case at all.
No. And when this happens, they all just pick up and go. They still have to move on with the mission because that's what it is. And even Vel, like, she is a little shell-shocked, but her feet are still able to move. She's able to do everything. When they finally get on the truck with all of the cargo, they leave, and this kid starts to cry. And I nearly started to freaking like tear up myself with how this actress was able to deliver this line of, oh, she was more than you will ever be in this entire rebellion. Like, you don't deserve to be able to cry. She was my world. She was like all of these different things. I loved this scene. It was so heartbreaking. She delivered it so well.
Yep.
But this is what happens when you don't follow command. And this is exactly what Senta even said.
Yep.
People will lose their lives when they don't follow command.
Yeah. And it's super frustrating that it had to happen to Senta. I still don't think the Gorman front is going to basically be like, hey, but like she died for a good cause kind of thing. Like this kid is not going to take any blame, even though I want him to, because I think that's just the way the rebellion is going to work. Like,
Hmm.
who knows? Maybe they're going to bring in this random stormtrooper that just happened to be walking by, and that's who shot Cinta instead of the candy salesman kid.
Yeah.
So, it was really heartbreaking to watch. I was super upset by getting to this scene because it's like, dude, like that's Cinta, and she was a really important character, I think. And again, they do get the LGBTQ representation in with the couple. Uh, they have like a one last romance scene kind of thing, like you said. Um, it still sucks.
Yeah. No, it does. It really, really does. Um, but I think that could lead us into Luthen and Clea's story for this arc.
Which then leads into Mon Mothma,
Mothma.
Bail. Do we want to go ahead and talk about Bail?
Yeah, I got spoiled. I
I
got
was wondering,
spoiled.
but I did want to ask in case it was somebody else.
This was the thing. Of course, the recast was the spoiler that got me. Literally before episode 1. Like that's the thing. This happens on episode 6.
It looks like it was in a trailer based on like some of the screenshots people are showcasing.
What?
Yeah, like there's already pictures of Bale in the Senate chamber.
Really?
Yeah, because that was my big question after watching episode 6. I was like, okay, please tell me. Like, and I have faith a little bit, but I'm also used to Dave Filoni, who's like, oh yeah, cameo, cameo, cameo. Uh, so I was like, please tell me he is in here just so people talk about this now. Literally what Tony Gilroy said. So it is Senate Investiture Week, which basically correlates with Empire Day relatively. It's where the
Yeah.
Senate makes their commitments back to the Senate. There's like big celebrations and everything. And that's where like the final, that's where Mon Mothma, Luthen, and Clea all end up at, is one of these parties with Scalded. Um, and so Mon Mothma and Perrin are walking in, and Bale is walking out, and you just get this brief interaction. And Perrin's like, "Well, what about Bria?" And Bale's like, "Nah, like we decided to go our like hit separate parties this time around."
Yeah.
And the recast actor himself is Benjamin Bratt, which I
Yeah.
was super impressed with. Um,
I I love this casting. This has actually been like an ideal recast for me. If anything, if Jimmy ever decided, hey, I don't want to do this anymore, this is exactly who I would need to be Bale.
yeah,
Um, it's very weird, but he actually has a like current relationship with Disney right now with Coco.
okay,
Um, so if nobody knows, if you have never seen Coco, Benjamin did have a main role. He was
okay,
one of the leads in Coco. Coco is getting a sequel, so I'm sure that relationship is ongoing. So I think it was very easy for Disney and even Star Wars to be like, "Hey, would you be willing to do this?"
yeah.
Um,
And he doesn't look exactly like Jimmy, but he's a close match.
the way, because I do believe I'll have to actually go back and look at the actual episode. Um, but like I believe Jimmy's facial hair and Benjamin's facial hair for the exact scene. Um, I think Benjamin has a little bit more gray
Yeah,
in there. Whereas Jimmy's usually just has like a just kind of a flat, like maybe a little bit of salt and pepper whereas now this one with Benjamin is actually more gray.
Yeah.
So that's the only difference, really. But
And they said this was because Jimmy couldn't make the schedule work.
Yeah.
With how Andor was shooting and like the strikes and everything. So
Tony did say, I did recently see an interview, maybe it was just like a short video on like a TikTok or something, but I could have sworn he said that Jimmy actually has a project happening right now, whether that be a TV show or a movie, I'm not entirely sure. But he actually has like a whole nother project he's currently working on.
Yeah, and I don't know. It sucks that Jimmy couldn't get back, but I would rather have a recast than shoddy CGI deepfake.
Yeah. I'm glad that they went the route of just this recast, because this is what we've been asking for. Hey, whether it be because you know, I will not lie. Back when I first saw Rogue One and I saw Tarkin, I said to myself, holy shit, they actually did it. This is pretty interesting and pretty intense with how accurate this thing is. His entire body was CGI. The entire thing. I thought that was impressive at the time. Looking at it now, it would have been a lot cheaper and better for morality overall. Just recast. That's all you got to do.
And I get it's so close to A New Hope that people were like, oh, I don't really want it to look any different.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no.
Yeah.
I would have much rather had new people come in for that movie. But I mean, it is what it is. Like, at least Gilroy has taken the sins of the past and gone, no, we're not going to do that.
Exactly. Yeah.
And who knows? Maybe Jimmy was like, no, you cannot do that. Like,
yeah. Maybe that was it also.
Fully within his rights.
Yep. But moving on to Luthen and Clea. In episode 5 specifically, okay? Because let me actually look at some notes here to see if there was anything big with them in episode 4. Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot with Luthen and Clea in episode 4. It was really episode 5 and episode 6. There is a line, and I actually have it written down. And I've already made the comment. Luthen has been gaslighting the fuck out of a lot of people this season. And that does not mean that Clea is out of harm's way, even though she works with him the closest, right? He tells her this line. He says, because they're talking about the idea that currently with the party that they're going to in episode 6, the collection of items that where's their bug is, by the way.
Yes.
It is all about to be
items over the years to people and putting bugs in them so they can glean important information.
Yep. And now that one has been found as a forgery, they are now all going to be inspected. And Clea's like, oh shit, our bug is going to be found. She relays this information to Luthen. Even says, because he says, oh, please give me some good news. I need it. And she's like, you're going to have to wait on that one. Hey, you know that bug we have on this item? It's going to be found. They're wiping, they're inspecting all of the items. They're going to find our bug. And this motherfucker has the audacity. He says to Clea, these lines we've laid, the signals, the frequencies, I can't keep up with it. And you keep pretending like we can. He points the finger at Clea. and says, "You think we can do this?" Motherfucker, it has been Luthen this entire freaking time that has pushed everybody to the brink and literally gaslighting to say, like, to have them do these crazy ass things for the rebellion, and then him turn around and be like, "Hey, that was all you. That was all you." Fuck that guy. This dude has not a care in the goddamn world for anybody. And you can sit here and fight with me and said, "Hey, it's all for the greater good. It's for the rebellion. He's gonna help defeat, the empire is gonna fall one day, and it couldn't have never happened without Luthen." Fuck all y'all.
Yes, because peer pressure is absolutely a thing, and people need to get over it. And that is dropping me off Afrin. If you have never used Afrin, it's freaking miracle drug. Not sponsored, but like Afrin sponsor me? Question mark. Please hold. I'm going to turn my camera off because this is a little awkward.
Yeah, but the way that Luthen has been saying this, we have been seeing him push everybody's buttons, has crossed the line plenty of times. And again, like I said, there's going to be people that argue for his sake. Oh, but look how much of a badass that he was in season 1 when he, was shooting all the lasers and doing all these cool things, being a pilot. Because again, he does mention again in this season, in this arc specifically, to Cassian, like, "Oh yeah, I was a rebel pilot, and this is how I, made connections to Gorman and blah 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 blah." So we know that Luthen at one point probably had a good head on his shoulders. But just like, this is the richer, whiter Saw Gerrera. Sorry, that's who Luthen is.
Dude, I totally forgot we have a Saw arc in this.
Oh no, yeah. It's a small one, but we're gonna have to talk about it last. But yeah, Luthen is just a whiter, richer Saw Gerrera.
Basically, and don't get me wrong, I'm not making excuses for Luthen, because just because you feel like crap and you feel like nothing's getting done doesn't mean you can treat people like crap, which is what he's doing. Does he need a vacation himself? Probably. He probably does. Because the man is overworked / overworking Clea. Clea is clearly the brains behind the operation at this point.
Yeah.
Because Clea is killing it, and we know from the trailers that Clea finds out what the Death Star really is. So I'm excited to see that happen. So yeah, I completely agree. Luthen, Stellan Skarsgård, don't get me wrong, he portrayed Luthen accurately. I feel like according to the script, he doesn't do anything that I feel like the script isn't telling him to do.
Yeah, exactly. No. This is why we tell the difference between the actor and the character. Fantasy and reality.
Concept.
Yes.
Like,
people.
This exists.
Katie, I feel like unfortunately we have to say it because there's so many crazy freaking people out there in this world that still to this day will harass actors for portraying a fictional character.
Wild.
Again, Skarsgård has done an amazing job portraying a complete asshole.
Yep.
That's all it is. But there is something that I have to say. Boo on the costume designer of this show, because you give everybody a new look for almost every freaking scene, and you just have the same variation 3 fucking times for Clea's outfit. Screw you guys.
Clea deserves more.
She had the opportunity to get all dressed up at this party and she just puts on a freaking robe on top of what she already has. Like, I was a little upset. Like, and of course, like, it was supposed to be like this dramatic thing when she, like, because Luthen was like, "Oh, the ride's here," and she like turns around and like fixes her little thing and like fluffs out the shoulders and everything else. It looks great. I love the way she looks. But I looked at it the second time around. I'm like, this is the exact same thing she wears every damn day. I didn't
And
like it the second
it's
time
wild
around.
because I still, especially in episode 6, I looked at her and was like, wow, she really could have been Leia. Like, if
Yes,
they were to have recast Leia for like post Return of the Jedi stuff, I would have picked this actress.
she is
And
gorgeous.
she's gorgeous. And especially when she had her hair straight to go meet Vel in season 1, oh my gosh, did she look like Leia?
Mm-hmm.
Like, Carrie Fisher, who? Like,
She looks good, and I love this actress. By the way, she
yes.
has done an amazing job because she also her character even stands up to Luthen when she can.
Yep.
She understands that she's in the thick of it with him. There's some things that she probably just says, "Hey, let him just vent for a while, and then I'm going to stand up for myself whenever I need to." Here, she takes control of the fucking situation.
I'm done with your bullshit. I'm gonna fix this myself.
Yeah. And so they go to the party, and again, we see
This is where Mon and Perrin come in because this is really their biggest appearance in this. Mon
mhm,
is trying to rally up votes to get the PORD disbanded. The
yes.
PORD being the extensive punishment bill that came up and passed after Cassian, Vel, and Syntha in the group robbed the Empire of basically the paychecks.
Yep.
Um, and so Mon is trying to get that disbanded and not pass any further. And people are like, yeah, no, not happening. Um, so the biggest part where Mon and Perrin come into play here is in this party scene as kind of accessories to Luthen, basically. And like,
Mhm,
oh, we're in laws now, so you get to go see the collection. That's basically what this is.
mhm, yeah.
Oh my gosh, I can breathe now. Oh, magic. Sorry, guys.
And so along with this, Clea grabs Supervisor Lonnie, and he gets all nervous, and he's like, "Hey, like, I couldn't tell. I'll have to watch it again, but I couldn't tell if he had no idea who she was, and then she mentioned something that was like, "Oh shit, you're with Luthen."
Oh no, I
Like,
think he knew exactly who she was.
yeah, so they go on to the collection room as well.
Yeah.
They immediately go to the item where the bug is, and he's freaking out. He's like, "Do you know who's in this room right now? Like, we need to go. We need to
Director
go."
Krennic.
Krennic was there. Again, man, he knows how to put on a fucking performance, by the way. I
Mendelssohn.
absolutely
Oh
love it.
my gosh.
I love it. But while they're taking this small little tour around this room, she is attempting to take out this bug.
Take it out
And
so hard she starts bleeding with her little
yes,
screwdriver.
there's like this moment where she takes off the head cap of whatever piece of the item where it was, and then she tries to twist and twist and twist. It's not working. They have to shift along with how the rest of the group is kind of moving around the room, so that way they don't look too inconspicuous and everything else.
And Lonnie could have done a much better job flirting. Like, I know the dude was scared, but really, how hard is it to go, oh, okay, I'm just flirting here. Cool. Great. Thanks.
Well, and the thing is, I think he's terrified of Luthen.
Mm-hmm.
And he knows that this person is working with Luthen. He also knows that he's in way too deep also with the Empire. His worlds are literally clashing in
Yep.
this one room, and he doesn't know what to do. Like,
No
I get
idea.
it. I get it. I totally get why he froze.
I do. But also, like, how hard is it to go in the elevator to the collection room? Okay, I need to take a deep breath. I need to
Yeah,
chill because if I panic, I'm gonna get caught.
exactly. Um, but there's during this whole ordeal, Mon Mothma and Krennic are actually kind of just going at it, and
I loved this.
it's very subtle because again, Mon Mothma knows I have to still put up this front. If I say anything that can tip them off to know, like, hey, I'm actually doing this for the rebellion in secret, she can't say those things,
Yeah.
but she can be a politician. We know that there are always two sides of politics, and that's the role she's playing here. And it was magnificent. I love this back and forth because it's like the way that Mendelsohn is just groveling in this sense of like, oh, I know I'm right. Oh, you call it torture, I call it justice. Like
Mm-hmm.
these like things here. It's like, oh, like you're such a bad human being in this galaxy,
Yep.
but my God, you're playing it so well. It was just so good. I loved it all. I loved it.
Yeah, and I also love like the little tidbits of history that we're getting
Mm-hmm.
um in these shots, especially with Luthen's collection, which by the way, the shop now has an additional Padme headdress, by the way. It has the Queen's headdress
Mm-hmm.
in this, which I was like, again, I never see Easter eggs, so I gotta point them out when I see them. Um but we got more information on like their cotton invaders. And I think there was like one other that was like, ooh, Legends reference, kind of, sort of. So I can't remember off the top of my head, but I love the little history lessons that we're getting, and it feels like just little connections that we can continue to make over the years between shows that are like that aren't like super big, but like
Mm-hmm.
still make a big difference in building a universe.
Yeah, yeah. For a universe, I feel like a lot of people think they know.
Mm-hmm.
We always get more, you
Yeah.
know. So I like that a whole lot. Um, but lo and behold, we actually get to see Luthen and Cleo walking away. And I love the story about the blind
Yeah.
storybook and how it like tells the history and all of this other stuff. I thought that was very, very clever, very cool. Um, and then when they all leave, Clea says, "Oh, you're welcome, by the way," and she just like shoves the bug in his
Wow.
face.
So
And then
hard.
all he does is laugh, like he because he does make a comment of like basically like, "Oh, why couldn't you like?" It was either her that made the comment to him or him making the comment to her, basically like, "Oh, you could have like offed Krennic right then and there," you know.
Yeah.
And they both kind of laughed and walked away. Um, so I that is one of the most toxic relationships in this entire series, by the way, Clea and Luthen. Like
100%.
I am not down for it, but I do like that she is able to hold her own when she needs to.
Yeah.
Um, but yes, we do have one final story arc. That story arc being, of course, Saw Gerrera. And Wilson?
Wilman,
Wilman. Okay.
I think. It's either Wilman or Willamon. We just call him Will.
Will. Okay. So Will, I have no idea how Will got into this situation.
So my thought process is that his dad was an engineer and Bix has continued to work with him as an engineer. So it feels like Luthen sent Will to Saw to help steal fuel, basically rhydonium in this case, which we have heard of before in, I believe, Rebels and Andor and maybe one other show. and several books, but um, he basically has a rhydonium refiner, which will process the rhydonium into the fuel and make it stable.
Yeah.
The refining process is not easy. So, Will has been sent to deliver the refiner and train one of Saw's personnel on how to use it and not blow up, hopefully. Um, and so we basically cycle over um, Will training this person, um, and the person hearing Saw basically go, "Oh yeah, like he's seen too much. So once you've got it, I'm gonna kill him. Like he's not going back. Like piloting accidents happen."
Yeah. Yeah.
Which made me super mad because Saw's not about wasting resources on his own side. And
I will admit I was a little satisfied with it because
yeah,
he got our boy killed in the last arc. So I was like, hey, if he dies, he dies. You know? Um
wait, are you talking about like, wait, what?
he got Brasso's killed. He got Brasso killed.
Oh yeah, okay. I'm
I'm
sorry.
talking about Will. Sorry. Like I'm saying like
I was like, what
Will
did Saw do?
when I saw this story happen, I like there was a moment where I was like, oh, that kind of sucks that he's kind of stuck there and he's gonna die now. But like when I really started to watch the scene, I was like, I hope you die. You're I'm not gonna get Brasso back, but at least you're dead if that happens.
You're not wrong. And Saw is on Dakar, by the way, which is the sequel trilogy planet
Yeah.
that we see in Rise of Skywalker. Um, so I liked that connection.
I like that connection as well, yeah.
Because we knew Leia had picked Dakar because it was a former rebel base. So getting to see all the different rebel bases um, over this series has been fun.
Yeah.
So Will does not end up dying. The guy he was training ends up dying because he was an Imperial spy.
This was wild. And I love the attention to detail if you're able to pick up on it. So Will is training this guy, and this guy's like, where'd you learn this from? How did you learn to do this? Will doesn't say a damn thing. He says, okay, no more questions. I understand. And he's training to do this. He's learning from Will. The next time we see them is when Saw is questioning this dude, like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, like, how confident do you think you're able to do this? He's like, I need more answers. I need more. Like, there's so many variables going on in my
Yeah.
brain right now because I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I need to know where we're bombing, what I'm supposed to be bombing. Because if I just had one variable instead of all of these variables,
Yeah.
I would be able to focus and do what you need me to do.
Which
Second
is
time I
also
watched that. Oh, go
it's
ahead. Go
also
ahead.
really dumb for him to say that because your whole goal with this refiner is to be able to do multiple variables.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and because not every rhydonium fuel is the same, which is why there's different variations. So it's kind
This
of dumb for him to say that.
the second time I watched it, I really was like, oh, I see it now. Like, this is totally just weird for him to be mouthing off like this.
It's again the same thing as with like Valencenta. Like I'm seeing it now that we're talking about it, but in the moment, but because things were so chaotic, I was like, I don't know why I Saw thinks this guy's a spy. Like now it makes sense. After like talking through it, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Is that sad? Don't answer that.
And so when it actually comes to pass, when they're having this conversation and he asks Will, hey, is he able to do it with you? or without you? Is he confident enough to be able to do it without you? And Will says, neither. I didn't sign up for this. I only did what I was supposed to. Blah blah. And like he couldn't even finish the sentence. Bam! Blaster goes off. The other dude just freaking falls to the floor.
Yeah.
And Saw just yells out, "Traitor!" He's like, "I'm gonna show everybody." And he has his right hand dude kneels down, picks out of his chest, out of something in his pocket, there is a recording device. It's like he was relaying all of this to the Empire. We're actually, there's going to be a bombardment at this pipeline where we were planning to go. But guess what? We're not going to be there. We're actually going to be light years away, just chilling and having fun, all this other stuff. Grab everything you can. Whatever doesn't go gets burned. We're tossing it all. And that's what they're doing there. They're setting up these bombs. And then the most wild conversation happens between Saw and Will at the very end of episode 5. This, again, reminds the viewers Saw is out of his flippin' mind. He is lost.
And apparently, in Rogue One, what everybody thought was like a breathing machine. Like, Saw is basically Vader in Rogue One. No, he was not Vader. He was huffing Rhydonium.
Yeah. It's like in this weird way, like he has become like this individual that literally cannot live without it.
Mm-hmm.
He explains it. He explains it to Will that like, this gas, it becomes so literally intoxicating into somebody's body that it burns your insides, and that like it, like he describes it all this way and that way. And while he's describing this, Will is very carefully, very softly, very slowly dealing with this bomb, with this giant mask. And he finally gets in Will's face and he's saying all these things. He's like, just take it off. And so
breathe it in. Absorb the rebellion.
And Will just takes it off, and you can just see like him like gag, and like his shoulders start to convulse, and he takes this deep breath, and then he like starts coughing, and then he screams out. It's supposed to be this like kind of awakening spiritual moment for Will. That dude is dying next arc. I just know it. I
was really mad at Will because Will is the definition. He's basically living the, hey, this person jumped off the cliff, so I should too lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Which is dumb. Don't do that. That's not a way to live. And for some reason, Will's like, yeah, sure, dude. Like, I'll take this off and I'll huff the Rhydonium. Like, what?
It's
wild. I could not believe what I was watching. And I really need to go back and watch, because some people, not a lot of people, were like, oh, this speech by Saw is incredible. Like, this is the Luthen speech for Saw. I did not process it like that. So I need to go back and rewatch for sure. And I will, because I'm going to have to rewatch with Matt.
Yeah.
So
there's this moment. I will say that. Because again, I think Saw's best moments are when he has a glimmer of humanity.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of those times, those glimmers of reality and humanity are when he mentions his sister.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure he mentioned his sister in this scene. I'll have to double check. He may have been alluding to it. That's the other thing. And so like there's these, and it's again, I think it's also Forrest Whitaker. Like again, Forrest Whitaker does an amazing job with this character, completely evolving into him. I think it's great. I'm not entirely sure I would put this on the pedestal, quote unquote, of what everybody was talking about with the Luthen speech, that that pedestal for me is slowly just devolving because of the character that Luthen is becoming in season 2. But yeah, I would probably have to watch episode 5 again to see if I feel the same way.
Yeah, I will keep y'all posted with my second watch of the episodes. Because yeah, I need another watch.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
Otherwise, like from my first watch on these episodes, I really enjoyed the episodes. There's a little bit of chaos and like I talked about, like more Andor because it feel like there's not enough Andor. Um, and then like some weirdness with Saw. That's basically because the character is who he is.
Yeah.
I don't really have any other critiques for the episodes. I still think it's doing an incredible job.
Yeah.
I wish Disney hadn't screwed us by saying, let's drop 3 episodes in a night.
Yeah. And surprisingly, I'm able to get them done in 2 days instead of 3. But then I'm wanting to rewatch it by like Saturday, and so like it does put a damper on my weekend plans before we record.
Mm-hmm.
And I just need to spread them out because I think I watched one at like 10 o'clock this morning, another one at 3, and then the last one at like 6 or 7. So
Yeah. And like I think the difference is in getting 2 episodes in Wednesday night is we don't have to wait until 9 p.m. Because if these episodes came out at 7, I would have no problem getting 3 episodes in.
yeah.
But because it's 9 o'clock, I need to go to bed.
Yeah, for sure.
So
100%.
I think that's the biggest difference in
Yeah.
getting it done in 2 days. And typically I'm good with it in 2 days. I just traveled and had to plan a birthday party this week.
Yeah. And guys, we both have little kids. Like it's rough. But I think that is it for this episode. At least that's what I think. That
Yes.
did we miss anything as far as story arcs or anything
I
else? I
don't
don't
think
believe
so.
so. Yeah. I think we're doing good. But with that, guys, thank you so much for being here. Of course, you can always follow me at FanboyClay on Twitter. Sorry, not Twitter. On Blue Sky, Threads, and Instagram. If you want to follow me in my adventures with work and comics, you can follow me at Blue Sky. In my endeavors with reading as much as possible this year, apparently. You can follow me on Instagram and on Threads.
I know I liked your April graphic.
Yeah, that was on Fable. They do like a roundup
okay.
for every month, and so
I may have to use it more then because I've seen people post them and I'm like, I don't want to get on Canva for that. That's a lot of effort.
No, it does it for you. That's the best part. Because for me, I was doing the same thing and I was like, how do I want to do this to like make it really nice and everything else? And then when like it was generating it for me, I was like, oh, okay, I can do this. This is easy. So yeah, we are 3 days into May, and I am already reading 4 books. I don't know who I am anymore, Katie. It's absolutely insane.
Have you finished Leia, Princess of Alderaan?
I did finish Leia. I am currently reading the prequel of The Wheel of Time. I am also reading, because I got it early, The Valiant Vow.
So jealous.
For our next review that should be coming up, of course, like we said at the beginning of this review ourselves.
Second to next review, because we have Tales of the Underworld next.
Tales of the Underworld as well. Then I am also reading shoot, what was it? Just because it became available on Libby, I am going to dual read. I am going to listen and read Red Rising, finally.
Nice.
It's on my list. And now I have somebody at work saying, "Hey, I saw that you were reading Way of the Kings. I just finished it." And I was like, "Hey, hold your horses. I'm not done with that yet. Don't say anything." So now I'm even more pressured to finish that book faster than I need to. So yeah, those are the 4 books that I am currently reading.
I'm waiting. I think I have like 17 days left until I get Way of the Kings from my library because I had to send
you
my
had to push
mom's
it.
copy back to the library.
Yeah.
So yeah, as soon as I get Way of the Kings, because we have like a lull for a
Yeah.
little bit. So as soon as I get that book, I'm gonna knock it out.
Then I might just speed read and see what I can get done. It is apparently not for the faint of heart, guys. The Cosmere universe, or whatever you want to call it, for Brandon Sanderson, it's like close to 12 books or something.
All like 1,000 pages each.
Yeah, they're insane. I think what I'm gonna do, instead of going immediately into book 2, apparently there's quite a few novellas and standalones
Okay.
that are in the universe that I will probably pick up before I jump into book 2, because I can't jump into another 1,000+ page book and be like, "Hey, let's just do this." And plus, I already promised Katie that after reading Way of the Kings, I would be jumping into Fourth Wing. So that's the next book after Way of the Kings. But yeah, that's what my book journey is looking like. If you'd like to follow me on that, like I said, follow me on Instagram, on Threads, and on TikTok. Katie, what about you?
Y'all, you can find me on most social media platforms at Slice of Katie. The show you can find on email. It is StarWarsAlliance@gmail.com with no A in the wars. Very important, don't forget it. That username is where you can find us on Instagram as well. It looks like I got back into the account today. Don't ask me why I did it today. I don't know. Again, brain chaos. Anyways, so we kind of have some plans for things to post there, hopefully. So follow us there if you're like, where have you been on social media? The other place that you can reach us, guys, is via text or voicemail. It is 830-538-4828. Just remember, give us a nickname, pretty please. We love hearing from you guys. It's been a hot minute. But tell us how you think Andor is going. And if there's a book or a show you guys would like us to dive into next.
Yeah.
So with that, guys, I want to wish everyone a great day or night, whatever time of day you are listening or watching, and we will see y'all next time. May the force be with you.